Hello everybody. Good morning children. So today we are going to start with major landforms on earth part 2. Okay. You must have got the video of part 1 where we did mountains and plateaus. So today we will be learning plains and desert. These are the other two landforms that we are going to study. Is that clear? Now plains, when we are talking about plains, okay, plain areas like the surface of our earth. Look at your house, the flooring of the house, it is plain. Okay, that is called as plain. It is, the surface is, the terrain is like this. It need not be exactly a straight line. It can be slightly undulating like this, can go up and down a little bit, unlike plateaus and mountains. You have studied plateaus and mountains. How are mountains? Mountains are having peaks like this. Yes, remember, mountains are having peaks like this. They are like this, conical in shape. Whereas plateaus, they are slightly lifted from the earth. They are like this. I hope you remember mountains and plateaus. These are mountains, these are plateaus. But today we are going to study plains. Look at the surface of plains and look at the surface of mountains and plateaus. Plains are, it need not be very straight. It can be slightly up and down. You can see the roads when you are moving to school, when you go to school, when you come back from school and all, when you are sitting in the window seat. Okay, you can see how the roads, or if you see through the driver's glass, if you see how the roads are. They are straight, slightly up, slightly down. It goes like that. So we are all living in a plain area. Plain area. Okay, where do we build our houses? On a plain. Okay, people don't prefer to use or to build their houses on a mountain slope, because mountains climatic conditions are very unpredictable. You cannot predict whether it will rain, whether it will snow or what. Okay, but plain areas are always preferable. Where does the train move? On a plain area. Where does the roads and where does the buses and cars and automobiles move? On a plain area. Where do we build our buildings, our houses? On a plain area. Where are the industries, factories and all? On a plain area. Okay, so such areas are called as plain areas. Fine. So today we are going to study the features of plain areas and the importance of plains. Got it? So today I'll be just sharing the PPT with you so that you can relate it quickly with your textbook. You can open the textbook page number 52 and 53. Page number 52 and 53. Got it? Okay. So I'm starting the plain part of it, the second part of it, that is plains. Got it? Now, major landforms on earth, part 2. Part 1, it is already uploaded. Part 2, this is. Okay, the next two major landforms that we are going to study, plains and deserts today. So features of plains, as I told you, there are many features because plains are the most preferred area for people to live. People don't want to live in areas like mountains or deserts or plateaus because of various reasons. Because they are mountainous, they are slopy layers. Okay, anytime landslide can happen, anytime rainfall can happen, anytime snowfall can happen on a mountain. Whereas on a plateau, it is very good for mining and other thing. Okay, so it's not very safe to live there. Whereas plains are safest. Okay, safest to live. Fine. So these are the large flat land masses. As I told you, they are either straight like the floor of our house, or they are slightly going up and down, undulating like this. Not need not be very straight, but it can go slightly slopy like this. It can be slightly slopy. So this is called as plain areas. There are also few, they are huge land masses, flat. Most of the plains are formed by rivers and their tributaries. Now, how do these rivers and tributaries form plains? Because, see, where are the rivers originating? Rivers are originating from the top of the mountains. Let us take these mountains. These mountains are all covered with ice. Okay, snow. What will happen when the snow will melt? Water droplets will start trickling down. Okay, these water droplets, when they come down, okay, drop by drop, then they join together, make a tributary, and then they come down, okay. Finally, when they reach the ground area, they will start forming their own way. According to the way they get, they will start moving, right? Now, when they move, they are already coming from top of the mountain, so they are going to get many minerals, rock pieces, stones, and other things from top of the mountains. Understood? From the top, they'll bring all these things along with water. Now, when the water is flowing like this, they will deposit all these minerals and sand and stones and rocky pieces. They will deposit it on either side of the rivers. Okay, so all this area would become a plain, river plain we call it as. The plain formed by the area formed by the river deposits. Okay, they are called as river plains. So the rivers, the third point, that is this point. Look at my pointer. The rivers start from top of the mountains and flow down into the plains, into the lower areas, the plain areas. Along with water, these rivers carry sand, soil, and small pieces of rocks. Because when the water comes down from top of the mountain, okay, they will bring down everything that is there, that is coming in their way. Okay, this is called as erosion. Okay, they will erode away the layers of sand and stones and rocky pieces and all the minerals deposits, whatever is there on their way, they will bring down along with it. They are deposited in the valleys and plains. But what is valley? Valley is this area of the mountain. Okay, this is the peak. This is the valley. Okay, so that area, it would be deposited. All the minerals that is coming down through water, along with water, will be deposited either in these valleys, or in these plain areas. Got it? The next slide, it's a continuation of the features. This fine soil and silt is known as alluvium. Silt means very fine dusty particles, okay, of soil. It's called as silt. It will act as a good fertilizer. It will act as a good mineral for the soil, okay. This fine soil and silt is known as alluvium. Please, you should learn the spelling of alluvium. Alluvium. And such a soil is called as alluvial soil. And it is very good for growing crops. Okay, this alluvial soil is very fertile and it's very good for growing crops. So whatever area is there, look here onto the board, you can see these areas which is having deposits of sand and silt. Okay, it's very good for growing crops because it's having alluvium in it. Fine, it acts as a good fertilizer. Some of the largest plains in India are made by the Ganga and Brahmaputra rivers. Especially in India, when we are talking about, the largest plains are Ganga River Valley plain, Ganga plains, the plain made by the Ganga river and the plains made by the Brahmaputra river. So these are the largest plains of India. Is that clear? Now, what is the importance of plains? How are plains important? In the beginning only we discussed that plains are very important comparing with any other landform, because all the houses, all the factories, all the industries, our schools, okay, our houses, all the roads, railways, most of the things are built on a plain area. Okay, it's all built on a plain area, not on a mountainous area or a plateau region. Okay, it's always built on a plain area because it is good. Otherwise, it can easily come down along with landslide and other thing. It can easily be spoiled. That is why we normally make it in plain areas. Okay. Another important thing is plains are very good for growing crops. Why? Because it contains alluvium. It contains that sand and silt and the soil that is coming from top of the mountain. Okay, and the mountains are very rich in minerals. So these minerals are brought down by water. So as the water comes down and settles down on the plain area, these good nutritious minerals and other things, they are settled in these areas and they make the land fertile for agriculture. They make the land fertile for agriculture. Is that clear? Second point is most of the big cities are located in the plains, as we discussed earlier. Okay, most of the big cities are in the plain region only, not on the mountainous region or plateau region or in the desert region. They are in the plain region. So plains are important for that also. Most of the civilization also happen to be in the plain areas. Got it? Okay. So this is the third landform, major landform that we studied. The first was mountains. The second was plateaus, and the third was plains. Okay. Now the fourth important major landform that we are going to study is the desert. Okay. You all must have learned about the desert. Have you learned ever? You must have studied. If you are in Bhopal, have you visited the place called as Radhari Dani? Radhari Dani. If you have visited, you will find the same similar structure of a desert is built up over there with camels and snake charmers and other things, if you have seen. Okay, so such an area is called as desert, where you will find all tiny sand particles. Okay, it's very hot, and you will find camels and other things over there, fine, with very less rainfall. So these are all the peculiarities of a desert, fine. So I'm just erasing the board. So the fourth landform that we are going to study is desert. Fine. Now, how do you define a desert? Desert is a barren area of land. Barren means an area which is devoid of any vegetation. There is hardly any vegetation in a desert. You can see only such thorny bushes grow over here. You can see the pointer. Such thorny bushes only you will find here, which doesn't grow to a good height. They are very close to the ground. Okay, and they are thorny because they are modified. They have adapted themselves to live in such a climatic condition. The climate over here is very harsh, harsh climatic conditions, very severe climatic conditions. Okay, often it is covered with sand or rocks. Sand or rocks, where there is very little rain or no vegetation at all. When there is no rain, there would be definitely no vegetation. Vegetation means plants that naturally grow in a particular area. So when there is no rain, when there is no soil, proper soil, this is sand over here. Okay, this is sand over here. So soil is not there. Soil will actually bind the roots. Okay, and it is good for the roots also to collect water, to absorb water. But with sand, the water will easily get evaporated because the area is very hot. Understood? So it is not good for growing any type of crops or anything. But still, people grow with a little bit of different techniques. Okay, people do grow crops here. But when compared with any other landform, deserts are a place where there is hardly any vegetation, where there is hardly any plants. Okay, or agriculture happens just for the namesake. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. There's hardly very little rainfall. We call it as scanty rainfall. Scanty is the word we use for rainfall. Scanty means very little. Scanty rainfall and high temperature. High temperature. Now this is two important qualities or features that we should remember for a desert. Okay, scanty rainfall means very less rainfall. High temperature means it's very hot over there. The temperature can go to an extent of 52 degrees also, 52 degrees centigrade also. Okay, so these are the features, peculiar, very unique features of desert. With no rain, hardly little bit of rain, or with no vegetation, or even if the vegetation is there, it is all thorny vegetation. Got it? The features of a desert. You can see how the desert looks like. Look at the picture here. The picture easily tells us, look at these areas. Okay, so this is why these lines are formed or created. It's because of the wind. When the wind moves, there is always sandstorm happening in deserts. Okay, and when the wind moves at a very high speed, they create such lines. because when winds are moving at a very high speed, they carry sand along with it. So they create such lines. Got it? Now, the climate is very harsh in the desert. Very harsh means very severe. The reason is because the temperature is too much, too high, and the waterfall or the rainfall is very less. Understood? Now, the days are very hot and the nights are very cold. That is also another feature of the desert. Why? Because during the day there is nothing to the sun rays directly fall onto the ground and the sand gets heated up quickly, so the area becomes very very hot. Whereas at night what happens is there is nothing to trap the heat. There is hardly any vegetation, no trees, no buildings, no monuments, hardly anything in the desert. So the heat is, the warmth is not trapped, it just vanishes into the atmosphere. So the area remains very cold at night. So in a particular day only the temperature varies a lot. Okay, the conditions varies a lot. During the day it's very hot, at night it's very cold. Got it? So that is also one peculiarity or a unique feature of a desert. Deserts are covered with sand dunes. Now what do you mean by sand dunes? Sand dunes are such huge hill like structure created by sand. Okay, when the wind blows, when the sandstorm happens, okay, the sand is carried away by the wind and gets deposited in a place very far away. Okay, and they will look like a small rocky structure. Understood? These are called as sand dunes. You can see here, over here, look at the pointer. These are all plain areas, and see this area, it is highly slightly elevated, okay, because of the deposition of sand. So such an area is called as sand dunes. When the wind blows, the sand blows along with it, resulting in massive sandstorm. So it's very difficult to survive a sandstorm because the sand can easily get into our eyes, into our nostrils, into our ears, okay, if we are not careful. So only people who live there, they can easily adapt to that particular kind of temperature or climatic condition. If we go, we have to be very careful because sandstorms are very common in a desert. Fine. Hot, dry winds are common in the desert. Dry winds with lot of sand blowing at a very high speed. It's a very common thing in a desert. Okay. Next, again the features are getting continued. There are some places in the desert where oases are found. Now what is oasis? Oasis is a place in a desert where there is a little bit of water. Can you see this particular picture? Look at the pointer. This is water body. Can you see this water? It's a water body. You can see the images of the nearby bushes and other things. Okay, people, you can see over here there is lot of vegetation, there is lot of trees over here, there are a lot of trees, there are many houses here. Now why people are living near an oasis? It's because the water is there. Wherever there is water, there is life. Okay, whether it is plants or animals or human beings, wherever there is water, people also would prefer to live in such area. Now they are living in such an area where there is water. Got it? See, look at this. Such a place is called as an oasis in a desert. Now how these oases are formed? What is an oasis? Oasis is an area in the desert where a little bit of water is found. Okay, a little bit of water is found. It cannot be called as a pond, it cannot be called as a well, it cannot be called as a lake because they are all bigger water bodies. A well is very deep. Okay, we only construct the well and we see that the water is very deep inside the well. But this is oasis. This is different from all these water bodies. Now what is the difference? Oasis is an area formed in a desert where little bit water is there. From where is this water coming when there is no rainfall? The water is coming from underground, from below. Understood? From below the ground, if there is water, that water would sometimes come up as a spring, a small thing. Suppose if this is the, let me erase the board. If this is the area, suppose if this is the area of the desert that we are talking about. If there is underground water, okay, that water would come down as a spring. It would just come out like this and it will occupy these areas. Okay, this underground water. So this underground water will come out according to the vent or according to the opening over here, according to the land area over here, it would come out and it would create a spring. The water would spread to the nearby areas and it would spread to a little bit of area. So such an area in a desert is called as an oasis. Here you will find very close to the oasis, you will find all the trees and other things growing. Even people would build their houses over here. Understood? It's because definitely people, whether it's people or whether it's about the plants or whether it's animals, okay, every living thing would live in a place where there is water. If you live in any other part of the desert where there is no water, people would have to people normally travel miles and miles of distance for one pot of water. They have to walk so much. So it's better that they live near to an oasis where there is a little bit of water. Okay. When people do agriculture in such place, especially in Sahara desert areas and all, okay, near river Nile and all, okay, near the Egyptian deserts, okay. So wherever there is water, there is life, right? So an oasis is an area in the desert where underground water comes to the surface and flows as a stream. These are fertile areas. Why do we call them as fertile areas? Because the water is coming from under the earth. And under the earth, the area is, the soil contains lot of minerals. So the water is coming out along with the minerals. So that is the reason why we call those areas as fertile region, because that minerals also get spread on that particular area. And most of the villages in the desert are situated around these areas. Okay, what is the wildlife and vegetation in a desert? Wildlife means which are the animals that are found over here, and vegetation means what grows over here, which type of plants grows here. Okay, let us see the vegetation first. You can see the picture also along with it. Vegetation, only thorny bushes can grow in such harsh climatic conditions. Okay, you can see these thorny bushes. They don't grow to a height, they are very close to the ground, and these are cactus. These are, can you see cactus? Okay, there are no leaves as such. The leaves are all modified into thorns. Got it? If you have aloe vera plant at home, it is actually a cactus. Okay, whatever leafy structure that you are seeing of an aloe vera, it is not actually leaf, it is stem. Okay, the stem performs the duty of photosynthesis also. The stem carries or stores food and water also. And you must have seen the jelly like structure inside the aloe vera plant. Okay, it is storing water and food for the plant. Okay, and if I'm drawing this, if this is how the aloe vera plant looks like. Okay, the leaves are, no, not the leaves, but the stem is actually like this. And you will see such thorny things on the side of this. These thorny things are the leaves. And these fleshy things are the stem. Okay, and it is green in color, so it performs the duty of doing the photosynthesis also for the plant. Fine, it stores food and water, and the leaves are modified into thorns, because otherwise through leaves also the water gets, the extra water that is there, it will get evaporated. So to avoid that, to save water, it is modified into thorns. Another advantages of having a thorn is what on the plant, that any animal that is there in the desert, especially camels and other animals, they cannot eat it so quickly because thorny it is. Thorny structures would stop them. Understood? So that is why the structure is like this. Okay, it's having thorny structure on its leaves. Similarly, the cactus, you can see even this is a cactus, picture of a cactus. Our aloe vera plant is also a cactus. Fine. Now look at the picture. This is the type of plant that we get to see in a desert. These are called as cactus. Okay. Now look at the wildlife. The wildlife means the animals that you will see, especially the camels. Okay. Camels are, especially they are adapted to live in a desert. Fine. Now, other than camel, what else do you find over there? You will find desert rats, you will find lizards, desert snakes, scorpions. Scorpion's picture is there over here. This is scorpion. You also call it as bichu. Okay. Desert snake is there over here. You can see the picture here. Antelopes are also found. Antelopes are a different species of deers, okay, who are adapted to live in a desert. You will find all such animals in a desert. Normal animals that you find in our areas, okay, where we have enough the climatic conditions are normal, where we all live. Such animals you will hardly find over there, okay. And those animals like desert snakes, then desert fox, then lizards, rats, scorpions, camels, you'll find in a desert only. How camels are adapted to live in a desert? There are many adaptations of camel, but in your book there are very few given, okay. I'll try to explain all of them. Now first thing is, camels are very useful in a desert because look at their look at their legs, look at their padded feet. The feet is like this. Understood? They are padded. They are not like this, like a dog's. Fine. Otherwise, it will sink in the sand. So such padded feet will not sink in the sand. They are used as a means of transport also. They carry luggage from one place to another in a desert. Okay. As they can survive without food and water for many days. Once they eat, when they are eating, they eat a lot. And when they are drinking water, they drink lots of water. Understood? And then they can travel for many days without food and water because they have these humps. Can you see these humps? Look at my pointer. Such an hump. Okay. These humps are the areas where the food and water that they have eaten is stored as fat. Okay. It is digested. The food that they eat is digested. After digestion, it is stored in these humps as, these are the humps. In these humps, it is stored as fat. So that fat is enough for the camel to travel without food. Understood? And once they drink water, they can survive without water for many days. Okay, so that is also one of the reason why camels are used as a means of transport. Fine. Next is, as I told you, their padded feet help them to walk easily on the desert sand. They can easily walk on the desert sand. There are other features also. Other features are like their eyelashes are huge. Okay, they can easily, and they have double eyelashes. One eyelash will cover the eyes when there is a sandstorm, and the other eyelash is open so that they can see the way. Their nose is their nose can close itself when there is a sandstorm so that it doesn't enter inside. Similarly, their ears, okay, they can close their ears temporarily when there is a sandstorm. Similarly, their mouth is very sturdy and hard. Okay, now if you can see the picture here, so that they can eat the thorny vegetation of the desert. Their full body is adapted. You can see the fur over here on their body. The long fur that is there on their body protects them during the daytime from the from the harsh sun rays, whereas the smaller ones, the small fur that is there on their body protects them at night, because at night it becomes very cold. So both the ways they are protected. Fine. So these are all the adaptation of a camel. Camel is a very well adapted animal to live in a desert. Okay. The next is deserts found in the world. Which are the deserts that are found? There are many deserts, although only few are mentioned here, but you should remember at least these that is there given in the textbook. Okay. First is the Kalahari Desert and Sahara Desert in Africa. Remember, Sahara Desert is the largest hot desert in the world. Largest hot desert. What do you mean by hot desert? Hot desert means the desert which is very hot, okay, with no rainfall at all, with sand. Understood? And what do you mean by cold desert? Cold deserts are those areas which is again deserted with hardly any vegetation and wildlife, but it is completely covered with snow. Cold deserts are again deserted areas only, but with snow. Got it? Whereas hot deserts are deserted areas. What do you mean by deserted areas? Where hardly anybody lives. Okay? Where there is hardly any life. Very few animals, very few vegetation, very few people comparatively. Got it? So cold deserts are areas which is covered by snow, and hot deserts are areas which is covered by sand, which is very hot. Okay? Sahara Desert is the largest hot desert in the world. Where is Sahara Desert? It is in Africa. There are other deserts. Namib Desert is also there in Africa, which is not mentioned in your textbook. Great Victoria Desert in Australia. Now, this is not the only desert in Australia. Almost 2/3 of Australia is covered by desert. Okay, there is Sandy Desert, there is Gibson Desert, there is Great Victoria Desert, and the Great Australian, West Australian Desert. Got it? So here they have mentioned only one desert of Australia. Okay, that does not mean that in Australia there is only one desert. There are 4 deserts. Okay, almost 2/3 of Australia, especially the Western Australia, is covered by desert. Okay, next is the Thar Desert in India. Thar Desert, those who live in Rajasthan, they must be knowing the Thar Desert in India. This is the Thar Desert. This is the only desert in India. Next is the Patagonian Desert in South America. Patagonian Desert is towards the southern part of South America. Okay, remember that. Towards Argentina and Chile. Okay, towards that area is Patagonian Desert, especially towards the southern part to the tip of South America, southern part of South America. Okay, so that is the area where Patagonian Desert is there. So these are the different deserts found in the world. Don't think that these are the only deserts. These are the few examples that is given in your textbook. There are many more deserts in the world. And Atacama Desert is the hottest desert. Hottest, which is not mentioned, it is also in South America, towards the west of South America. Okay, so it's in Chile. Fine. So it is like these are all the Atacama Desert is a desert which is the hottest. Why do we call it as hottest? Because since last 5 years, no rainfall has happened there. It's totally dry, totally dry. That is why we call it as the hottest, with no rainfall at all, not even scanty, completely dry. Okay, so that is which is not mentioned here in your textbook. Okay, but these are also some important deserts in the world. Okay, so that is all about plains and deserts. So I hope today's tutorial will help you in understanding plains and deserts. Okay, thank you so much.